Sometimes life slows down right when you're expecting momentum, and that sudden shift can feel confusing. You start wondering why things didn't move the way you expected, and that doubt creeps in quietly. But delays are often misread as rejection when they are simply timing adjustments. What looks like a setback is sometimes just life aligning things behind the scenes. Delays don't erase destiny, they prepare the path for it. You may think that something is wrong with your dream just because it's taking longer than you wanted. The truth is, timing is more precise than your frustration can see. Right now, things might feel stalled, but that stall could be the very thing keeping you from stepping into something unprepared. You can't always see what's lining up for you, but the delay might be the only thing holding everything in place. There are moments when you wish a door had opened sooner, only to discover later that it would have led you somewhere you were not ready to be. Timing has a way of protecting you from premature opportunities. A delay isn't stopping you, it's positioning you. What feels slow is often strategic. What feels late is often on schedule. Sometimes you're waiting on an answer, a breakthrough or a sign, and nothing is happening. But nothing happening doesn't mean nothing is moving. You might not see progress, but that doesn't mean progress isn't unfolding where your eyes can't reach. The delay can be the quiet space where alignment is happening without your involvement. There are situations where you're being held back on purpose, not to punish you, but to pace you. There's a difference between a denied opportunity and a delayed one. A denied opportunity means it wasn't meant for you. A delayed opportunity means it's meant for you, just not right now. Holding on to the delay can be just as important as the dream itself. And when you begin to understand that the delay holds value, you stop panicking and start paying attention. You start recognizing that the slow moments carry purpose. You start seeing that the timeline you made for your life might not match the timeline designed for your growth. The delay isn't shutting you out, it's shaping you from within. The pause is one of the most misunderstood parts of the journey. People see the stillness and assume there's no progress, but the pause is where the unseen work takes place. It's in those quiet moments where life prepares you for responsibilities you don't even realize you're about to carry. Preparation rarely looks exciting, but it's always essential. Think about how many times rushing would have made you skip something important. The pause slows you down long enough to catch what speed would have made you miss. It forces you to build patience, consistency, and awareness, things you can develop when everything is moving at the pace you prefer. The pause may feel uncomfortable, but discomfort shapes readiness. Many breakthroughs fall apart because the person wasn't prepared for what they asked for. The pause makes sure you don't become one of those stories. It trains your mindset, sharpens your decision making, and grows your resilience. You can't receive something big with a small level of preparation. The pause expands your capacity. Sometimes your preparation season takes longer than other people's. That's because your assignment is different. Comparison will make you think you're behind, but purpose will remind you that your timeline is customized. You don't need someone else's speed, you need your own growth. The pause protects you from shortcuts that would have cost you more later. There are things you're learning right now that you wouldn't have learned if everything came fast. Slow seasons expose weaknesses and develop strengths. They reveal patterns you need to break and skills you need to build. Preparation is rarely glamorous, but it's always necessary if you want longevity instead of temporary success. And when you start valuing preparation, you appreciate the pause instead of resenting it. You begin to recognize that the wait is equipping you with tools, wisdom, and clarity that speed could never give. The pause isn't robbing you of progress, it's deepening your foundation so you can handle the weight of what you're asking for. Growth is rarely fast, and that's because lasting growth demands depth. Anything that rises too quickly collapses under pressure, and life won't let you build something meaningful without developing the strength to sustain it. You might want the finish line right now, but if you don't have the roots, you'll struggle to stand once you get there. People love the idea of elevation, but elevation without preparation becomes instability. When things grow slowly, they grow strong. When they grow strong, they last. Fast success may feel exciting, but steady success is what creates legacy. The time it takes is the very thing that makes it durable. You may be wondering why something you've worked hard for hasn't unfolded yet. But growth isn't only about skill, it's also about our capacity. You're not just becoming good at what you want to achieve, you're becoming the person who can carry the responsibility that comes with that achievement. That requires time, and rushing it would weaken your foundation. Some people envy fast results, but they don't realize that rapid growth often hides unaddressed weaknesses. Slow growth forces you to face everything that needs strengthening. It makes you deal with your doubts, your habits, your discipline, and your mindset. It develops you in ways that shortcuts never could. There are moments where you feel frustrated by the pace of your progress. But frustration doesn't mean failure, it means you're stretching. Growth stretches your patience, your expectations, and your resilience. If you quit during the stretch, you'll never see the stability that comes after it. Growth requires staying committed even when it feels slow. And when you lean into the process instead of rushing it, you start appreciating the depth you're building. You start understanding that taking longer isn't a punishment, it's preparation for endurance. Growth at last takes time, and time turns potential into something unshakable. Delay has a way of exposing the truth behind your dreams. When things don't happen quickly, your real level of desire becomes clear. Anyone can stay motivated when progress is visible. But it's the person who keeps moving through silence that proves how deeply they want it. Desire isn't measured by excitement, it's measured by endurance. When delay shows up, it confronts your commitment. Do you want the dream, or do you only want the feeling that comes with it? A dream that collapses in the face of delay was never rooted in purpose, it was rooted in preference. Preference weakens under pressure, but purpose becomes more defined when challenged. There are people who start strong but give up the moment the process gets tough. Delay filters out the superficial, it separates the dreamers from the doers. If you still want it when momentum slows, when doubt whispers, and when certainty disappears, then you are genuinely invested. The delay becomes a testing ground for your dedication. Desire deepens when you fight through discouragement. Every time you choose to keep going, you're strengthening the muscle that carries you forward. You begin to understand that your dream means enough to you to withstand temporary frustration. This is where resilience is built, not in the wins but in the waits. Delay forces you to ask, how much do I want this? And your answer is not spoken. It's shown in how you respond. If you stay consistent when nothing is happening, you demonstrate that your desire is stronger than your circumstances. This is where breakthroughs start forming long before they appear. And when you embrace delay as part of the desire process, you stop craving speed and start valuing endurance. You recognize that what you truly want is worth the wait, the fight, the effort, and the patience. Delay reveals desire so that when your moment comes, you know you earned it. Sometimes life takes you down a road you never planned to travel, and at first it feels like everything is going wrong. You thought you had the route figured out, and suddenly you're somewhere unfamiliar, somewhere slower, somewhere harder. But detours aren't random. They are intentional reroutes meant to guide you around something you didn't see coming. A straight path isn't always the safest path. There are opportunities you thought you need that would have pulled you in the wrong direction. There are people you wanted to stay connected to who would have limited your growth. The detour protects you from destinations that were never going to serve you. It cuts you off from things that would have drained you. What feels like a loss often ends up being protection. You may feel frustrated when things don't go the way you imagined, but the detour is shaping a version of you that the original path couldn't. It's slowing you down long enough for clarity to catch up. It's teaching you to adjust, to adapt, to stay flexible when life shifts unexpectedly. Detours refine you with the very discomfort you try to avoid. When the plan changes, you learn to trust direction over familiarity. You start realizing that your comfort zone was too small for the size of your purpose. The detour stretches your ability to handle the unknown. It teaches you how to move forward even without certainty. It builds a resilience the straight path would never have built. A detour is often where your real transformation happens. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you never had to face before. It tests your patience, your attitude, and your willingness to keep going even when the journey no longer matches your expectation. That's where strength grows. That's where character forms. And when you finally look back on the road, you see that the detour wasn't a mistake, it was mercy. It guided you away from what would have broken you and toward what could build you. It was always strategic, even when it felt chaotic. The detour didn't take you off your path, it led you to the version of the path you were meant to take. Patience is one of the hardest things to build because it requires you to trust when you'd rather control. It forces you to sit still when every part of you wants to push forward. But patience isn't weakness, it's strength in its most disciplined form. It's the ability to remain steady while life works on your behalf. When you learn patience, you stop reacting out of panic and start responding out of wisdom. You begin making decisions from clarity instead of fear. Patience doesn't rush outcomes, it nurtures them. It waits for the right moment instead of forcing the wrong one. And in that waiting, you develop a calmness that becomes your power. In delayed seasons, patience shows you who you really are. It reveals your habits, your impulses, and your level of emotional control. When everything slows down, you see how easily you get frustrated or discouraged. Patience challenges those reactions. It teaches you to breathe through uncertainty. It makes you emotionally stronger. Powerful people aren't powerful because everything comes easily to them. They're powerful because they know how to wait without falling apart. They've mastered the art of staying centered in the middle of chaos. They understand that anything rushed loses its value. Patience becomes a shield that protects your peace and your decisions. Patience also brings confidence. When you stop being threatened by delay, you start trusting your path. You stop competing with other people's timing. You stop doubting your own progress. You realize that what is meant for you cannot be stolen by a slower road. Patience stabilizes your heart and your expectations. And as patience grows, power rises with it. You walk differently. You think differently. You move intentionally instead of impulsively. You develop the strength to handle the blessings you once felt desperate for. Patience prepares you internally so that when life finally accelerates, you have the maturity to handle the speed. Discipline is formed in the seasons where nothing seems to be happening. When you're waiting, when you're unsure, when the results are slow, that's when discipline is either built or abandoned. If you stay committed during the delay, you turn into someone who doesn't break under pressure. Consistency becomes your anchor. Most people only stay disciplined when they can see immediate results. But real discipline shows up when the progress is invisible. It's waking up and doing the work even when there's no applause. It's staying focused even when nothing around you is changing. This type of discipline separates achievers from dreamers. Delayed seasons test your routines. They test your habits. They test your ability to keep going without the reward. And every day you choose consistency, even in disappointment, you strengthen your identity. You become the type of person who keeps promises to themselves. That alone gives you an advantage in life. Discipline built during delay creates momentum that will carry you when the opportunity finally comes. You won't have to scramble or start over, you'll already be ready. While others are panicking to prepare, you'll be walking in with the foundation you built long before anyone noticed you. Discipline turns waiting time into winning time. The delay also forces you to refine your focus. You learn to eliminate distractions. You learn to prioritize. You learn to direct your energy toward what matters, not what's convenient. Every disciplined choice makes you sharper. It makes you more intentional with your time and more protective of your goals. And as that discipline grows, you become unstoppable. You develop a mindset that doesn't rely on motivation but on responsibility. You become someone who can handle pressure, setbacks, and heavy workloads. Discipline makes you durable, and durability is what carries you through seasons of change with strength. Faith doesn't grow in seasons of comfort. It grows in seasons where the outcome is uncertain. When the delay stretches longer than you expected, that's when faith is either strengthened or surrendered. Faith becomes the thing you hold on to when there's nothing else to hold on to. When life is quiet and answers aren't coming, you start learning how to trust without evidence. You begin understanding that faith isn't about liking the process, it's about believing in the purpose behind it. Faith shows up strongest when everything else feels weak. That's where inner belief becomes unshakable. Delayed seasons force you to confront doubt. They force you to face every fear, every insecurity, every negative thought that tries to convince you to quit. And when you choose belief over fear, even in the smallest way, your faith grows. The delay becomes the training ground where your trust deepens. Faith teaches you how to stay grounded when nothing is moving. It teaches you how to stay hopeful when nothing is changing. It teaches you how to keep walking when the path looks the same every day. Faith gives you the courage to keep pushing forward when logic tells you to stop. That courage becomes the strength you rely on. The longer the delay, the more opportunities you get to build faith. Every day you stay committed becomes a reminder that you're stronger than your frustration. Faith turns waiting into resilience. It transforms disappointment into determination. It helps you endure seasons that would have broken you years ago. And through that endurance, your faith becomes part of your identity. You begin to trust timing. You begin to trust growth. You begin to trust yourself. The delay doesn't weaken your belief, it amplifies it. Faith built in the wait becomes the foundation for everything you will stand on later. Humility is forged in the seasons where you don't have control, when you can't rush the outcome, when you can't predict the timing, when you can't speed up the process. That's where humility roots itself. You learn to let go of pride. You learn to release the need to have everything on your own terms. In delayed seasons, ego gets checked. You realize you're not entitled to quick success. You realize that greatness requires patience. Humility grows when you take responsibility for your journey instead of blaming the process. It's a quiet strength that builds through surrender, not through force. Humility makes you more teachable. When things take longer, you start paying attention. You start learning from mistakes instead of hiding them. You start listening more, observing more, and understanding that growth requires openness. This mindset attracts people, opportunities, and guidance that arrogance would have pushed away. Humility also keeps your heart grounded. If everything came easily, pride would rise faster than wisdom. Delays protect you from becoming blinded by early success. They keep you grateful for small progress. They remind you that the journey matters just as much as the result. Humility keeps your character aligned with your purpose. People underestimate how powerful humility is. It draws in support. It opens doors. It creates connections. People want to work with someone who remains grounded even while working toward great things. Humility turns waiting seasons into character building seasons that prepare you for bigger rooms. And as humility grows, you become someone who can handle success without losing yourself. You stay balanced, you stay grateful, you stay authentic. Delay doesn't diminish you, it refines you. It shapes your heart so that when the opportunity comes, you walk into it with maturity, not entitlement. Progress often hides itself in slow seasons. You think nothing is happening, but the slow pace is building momentum behind the scenes. Life is aligning pieces you didn't even know you needed. Slow doesn't mean stuck, it means strategic. It means the build-up is happening quietly before the breakthrough becomes loud. There are situations where you feel like everything is dragging, but slow foundations are what create fast outcomes. One opportunity can make up for years of waiting. One yes can replace dozens of no's. One connection can rewrite your entire future. Acceleration always looks slow right before it starts. The delay conditions you for momentum. It keeps you steady so that when things finally speed up, you don't lose control. Slow seasons teach you discipline, patience, focus, and emotional strength. Those qualities are exactly what you need when acceleration comes, because once it hits, everything moves at once. When things are slow, you learn to value preparation over pace. You learn not to confuse quiet seasons with empty ones. You learn not to assume your efforts aren't working just because results aren't showing. Slow progress is still progress. It's still movement. It's still building towards something. Acceleration comes when everything aligns, not when you're anxious for it. And when it shows up, it usually arrives suddenly. This is why slow seasons matter so much. They keep you ready. They keep you grounded. They make sure you're positioned correctly before the shift happens. Fast blessing needs stable people. And once acceleration starts, you look back and realize the slow season was never holding you back. It was preparing the runway. It was clearing the path. It was strengthening you internally. What seemed slow was actually setting you up for a level of progress you weren't ready to handle before. There are things you want right now that would overwhelm you if they arrived early. Sometimes the delay is saving you from rushing into a situation that your current level of wisdom, discipline, or emotional strength can't sustain. Timing sees what you can't. Timing sees what's ahead. Timing knows what you're being shielded from. We often assume readiness based on desire, not development. Just because you want something doesn't mean you're prepared to handle the pressure that comes with it. Delay exposes the gaps. It gives you time to grow into the person who can hold the blessing without dropping it. Protection doesn't always feel like protection at first. Delayed seasons highlight weaknesses you'd ignore if everything came quickly. They show you where you need more patience, more skill, more awareness, or more maturity. These are things that fast success would magnify, not fix. Delay fixes them quietly before they become problems later. Sometimes the people connected to your blessing aren't ready yet either. Timing isn't just about you, it's about alignment. The opportunity, the environment, the relationships, the resources all have to be prepared too. A delay could be synchronizing things behind the scenes so everything fits together perfectly. You may feel frustrated when something doesn't arrive on your schedule, but you don't want a blessing that crushes you. You don't want success that breaks you. You don't want responsibility that burns you out. You want the version that comes when you're equipped to carry it with strength, confidence, and clarity. And when you finally receive it, you'll realize the delay wasn't punishment. It was preservation. It was ensuring that you walked into the moment fully ready, fully stable, and fully capable. Delay protects you from stepping into seasons you weren't prepared for yet. You can create timelines, set goals, and map out your whole future, but life has a way of reminding you that schedules don't control destiny. You might think something is late, but it's simply arriving according to a plan you can't see yet. Your expectations aren't the blueprint, your deadlines aren't the design. When things don't happen when you want them to, it's easy to blame yourself. But timing isn't always about effort, it's about purpose. Some doors open only when your character is ready. Some opportunities arrive only when your environment shifts. Some breakthroughs show up only when everything aligns. A schedule can't account for detours, growth, or protection. It can't predict the people you'll meet or the lessons you need first. Life uses timing in a way that your plans can't replicate. Adjustments aren't failures. They're part of the strategy. What looks delayed might be perfectly on time. There's a plan unfolding even when you don't understand it. There's movement happening even when you can't see it. There's purpose developing even when the process feels silent. Your path is bigger, deeper, and more intentional than the calendar you created. You're not behind, you're being aligned. The moment you start trusting the bigger plan, you release pressure from yourself. You stop forcing things. You stop doubting your progress. You stop panicking over timing. You start recognizing that delays aren't working against you, they're shaping you into the person who fits the future you keep praying for. And as your perspective shifts, the delay stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like preparation. It becomes part of the process, part of the journey, part of the becoming. The schedule you made doesn't define you. The plan shaping you does.